Hi everyone, this is Sam with Wine News in 5. Before I launch in, a quick reminder that our wine writing competition is open for entry. We're welcoming your articles on any and all non-food pairings, from wine for a windy day to what you'd pair with a PTA meeting. Please read the rules and don't be afraid to take an unorthodox approach. If you're a writer or communicator, you may also be interested to know that the Alan Shoup Memorial Fellowship is now open. The fellowship awards recipients with an immersive trip to Washington's vineyards and wineries, as well as a stipend. It requires 3 published pieces, a 500-word essay on why you'd like to learn about Washington wine, and story ideas. I'll include the link to the fellowship in the transcript of this video. And now to global news. Today I'll discuss a new wave of WSET diploma graduates, Trump tariffs, the 2025 Bordeaux en Primeur campaign, France's plan for more uprooting, Pernod Ricard and Brown-Foreman calling off merger talks, RNDC laying off more employees, and the OIV's call for potential presentations at their World Congress. First up, a new wave of WSET diploma graduates. Congratulations to all 2025 WSET diploma graduates. WSET's annual graduation ceremony was on April 27th. Out of 714 graduates from 45 countries around the world, Australian student Sebastian Iannuzzi took home the Vintners Cup, awarded to the highest overall performer. You'll find a full list of recent graduates linked in on our site. Next, Trump tariffs. Back on February 20th, U.S. Supreme Court struck down tariffs implemented by the Trump administration under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, IEEPA. This was a huge relief to wine importers and to wineries who buy much of their equipment from other countries. However, later that day, Trump invoked Section 122 of the Trade Act of 1974 to impose a temporary 10% global tariff effective 12:01 a.m. on February 24th for the maximum allowable time period of 150 days. On March 9th, the Liberty Justice Center filed a lawsuit against the administration on the grounds that these tariffs are also illegal. Yesterday, May 7th, the U.S. Court of International Trade ruled that the tariffs are indeed illegal. The Trump administration is expected to appeal. If the current Section 122 tariffs are kept in place, they expire in July, and the Trump administration plans to replace them with tariffs under Section 301 of the Trade Act of 1974. On to the 2025 Bordeaux en Primeur campaign. This week, James Lawther, MW, put out a series of articles on Bordeaux's 2025 vintage, replete with notes on barrel samples to assist anyone looking to purchase en Primeur, aka wine futures. Meanwhile, in our members forum, Nick Martin of Wine Owners has continued to keep us updated with relative value analyses comparing JancesRobinson.com scores and the Chateau's release prices for 2025 with scores and prices from other recent high-quality vintages such as 2016, 2019, 2020, and 2022. This information has become increasingly important in recent years because en Primeur pricing has climbed high enough that consumers can often find wines on the market for less than they sold en Primeur. We're still very early in the campaign, but producers do seem to be bringing prices down. Nevertheless, Martin's data shows only one clear value thus far. I encourage you to check out James's articles and our forum before purchasing. Next, France's plans to uproot more vines. At the end of March, France Agrimare's request for applications for vineyard uprooting had garnered 5,823 applications for uprooting of 27,926 hectares of vines in exchange for a €4,000 per hectare government subsidy. The subsidy is being offered due to the oversupply crisis. The 27,926 hectares represents a 3.6% decrease in national vineyard area. On April 17th, producers who had submitted applications received authorization to begin uprooting work. However, there's no confirmation yet that aid would be awarded, as the European Commission still needs to validate the request for €112 million in national funds. Early authorization for uprooting was deemed necessary so that untreated vineyards don't become breeding grounds for pests and disease. On to Pernod Ricard and Brown-Foreman calling off merger talks. On April 28th, Pernod Ricard and Brown-Foreman ended negotiations for a merger, reporting that they were unable to reach mutually acceptable terms. Next, RNDC cuts more jobs. Late last year, RNDC, one of the U.S.'s largest wine and spirits distributors, laid off upwards of 1,700 employees and ceased distribution in California. Then, in March of this year, they struck a deal with Reyes Beverage Group to hand over operations in 10 states and Washington, D.C. Last week, Reyes, in the midst of taking over operations, issued employees with conditional worker adjustment and retraining notification documents. They expect to cut up to 4,677 jobs, with more than 40% of those cuts being made in Texas. Finally, the OIV calls for potential presentations at their World Congress. This year, from October 12th to 16th, Incheon, Ningxia will host the 47th World Congress of Vine and Wine and the 24th General Assembly of the International Organization Vine and Wine. Member countries will come together to discuss the future challenges of the wine industry. The organization is currently open to receiving proposals for presentations on viticulture, enology, economy and law, and safety and health sessions from members of the scientific community. That's all for this episode of the Wine News. I'll see you once more before my exam on May 22nd. If you enjoy this newscast and you'd like to see it continue, please become a member of jancesrobinson.com. And if you have breaking news in your area, please email me at news@jancesrobinson.com. Thanks.